Hey YouTube, so today we're going to talk about the Pico, a tiny little 380 made by Beretta. So the Pico, my first impressions of this gun are when I saw it at SHOT Show maybe a couple years ago, and Beretta was talking about it, and they were showing it off and showing how thin it was and how small it was, and when he grabbed the gun like this, I said to myself, who in the world is going to want that gun with a tiny little grip like that? Now I've fired the Keltec P3AT, the Bodyguard, the LCR, each one of them in its own way has, a little bit of a grip problem. The Bodyguard at least is nicely stippled all around here, so you get a nice firm grip on it, and with the extension that I put on it, it's very controllable. This gun at the range, even with its extended mag, slid all around in your hands, and it was very hard to control. The other thing too is the trigger. When you are firing the gun, I believe because it's so slippery, when you fire the gun and your finger gets to here, now the gun recoils and this part of your finger is trying to hold the gun back. So after a mag, my finger was pretty sore right here. Now I was kind of keeping quiet to myself about that, trying not to be a wimp, and my father shot the gun and he said exactly the same thing. Put the gun down. He said, "This gun sucks." Those are his exact words. Now, it wasn't because the gun wasn't reasonably accurate for how small it was, shooting at 7 to 10 yards. It was, hitting a man-sized target pretty convincingly. But you're going to want to practice with any gun that you have. And this gun actually hurts your hand. Now, any gun, I've decided for myself, any gun that hurts my hand, I really have no interest in, because I want to be able to get out in the range and practice. So there's a strike against this gun right there. Now the other thing about everything being so flush and smooth is it's extremely hard to actuate or do anything with this gun. It's hard to, if you don't have very strong hands, it's going to be hard for you to rack this. Now what happens is it's reasonably smooth until you get about here, and then it actually stacks up a little bit more, and then you have to pull harder in order to get that to lock back. Now I have reasonably strong hands, and I can do it, but some people that might not have as strong hands, say some older women, I would definitely not get this gun. You're not going to be able to rack this slide. The next thing is the slide release. It's very flush, and you've got a very small amount of real estate here to try and get any kind of grip on it. You basically got to get your thumbnail in there and push really hard. That's going to tend to, see that? Crack your thumbnail. If you put enough pressure to drop that slide, you're putting quite a bit of pressure on your thumbnail. Now you could be one of those ones that does the slingshot and pulls back the slide and let it go home, which is a little bit easier, but again, if you don't have a strong grip and you don't have a lot of serrations here to grab a hold, you may have a problem even doing that. Now the magazine release is something, again, that I don't think is very well thought out. You are not going to do, not that this is a very tactical pistol to begin with, but you're not going to be doing any kind of tactical reloads. There is really no way, in keeping your grip on the gun, to drop that mag. You can't get it. You can get it with your thumb, but you're pushing down on a really kind of sharp edge. It's not sharp, but it's very focused, very small. So when you put the fleshy part of your thumb on there and trying to push that down, you can do it, but you're going to initiate a little bit of pain in your thumb. Now I've managed to do it with my index finger before too, but again, now you're breaking your grip. You don't have a grip on it, and again, it's kind of a very pointed little edge there, and you're going to be pushing on the fleshy part of your finger, so again, it's going to cause a little bit of pain. The best way to do it, to release it, is to reach up with your index finger and your thumb and just pull down. Again, not very tactical. If you're looking to drop your mag and then come up with your other one in your other hand, not going to happen. You're going to have to drop your mag first, get your spare mag, bring your spare mag up, put it in. The sights, they're pretty decent. They're 3-dot sights, and compared to most guns of this size, other than the Bodyguard or the LCP Custom, I think it's called, now that they've put bigger sights on the LCP Custom, it's actually not bad. but right out of the box stock, these are pretty good sights. I gotta say the fit and finish of it is excellent. All the metal parts have no burrs, no sharp edges, everything's smooth and rounded. All the plastic is excellent. There are no molds, marks, there's no flash, everything's smooth and nice, and at the same time, again, like I said, because it's so smooth you can't get a grip on it. But as far as fit and finish goes, I would rate it as excellent. The trigger pull, it's kind of a long, kind of spongy feel that kind of stacks up just at the very end, and it's virtually no trigger reset. You do hear it, but it's all the way out, and it's kind of mushy on the way out, so it's not a real positive. If you're just popping away rounds, you're not going to really know when it's reset. You're just going to get used to letting the trigger all the way out. So to break down this gun is pretty simple. You just take your mag, line it up with the little basically screw head here, turn it till it lines up with the little notch, and the gun comes apart. Now note, this is the second generation model where it has the single recoil spring. The original ones had two recoil springs, and it was much more difficult to rack the slide on this gun. Not that this one is very simple to rack now, because there's very little bit of serration there, and it's still reasonably stiff. But anyway, putting the gun back together is very simple as well. All you do is make sure that's still lined up to the lineup marks, rack the slide back slightly, and then it locks itself back into place. Pretty simple. Now, comparing to the Bodyguard, slide stop, very easy to actuate. Pulls back, locks open much easier. The trigger, now I've got the Galloway Precision trigger system put on mine, but the trigger pull, I think I may have thought that they're very comparable in pull weight. But firing these side to side, or back to back I should say, firing them back to back, my father fired this. This was his new gun, his new baby. He thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he fired my Bodyguard, which he's fired before. And his words were, "These guns suck." That's exactly what he said. A little bit more animated than that, but that's basically what he said. So I said to him, okay, well, which one sucks less and why? And he said, the Bodyguard sucks less. And why is because it actually doesn't hurt to shoot. Again, I just demonstrated before why this gun actually hurts, because you can't get a grip on it, and as it recoils, it's going to be putting pressure on your finger to try and hold that gun back down, and it hurts your finger. Now, if you go with the extended mag and you can manage to drop the mag out, you will get a better grip on it, but it has a very strange grip angle. If you grab it, my tendency is to have the gun pointed downward, so I have to break my wrist and bring it back up in order to get on target. So it's not a natural pointing gun for me. Part of that also is that it has a very high bore axis compared to, say, the Bodyguard. If you look at them, how high up that is compared to your grip, it creates a very large moment. See how small that beaver tail is compared to this one? Your hand's way down here versus way up here, which causes it to recoil more, or at least the sensation of more recoil. Compared to the Bodyguard, your hand sits up much higher on the Bodyguard than the Pico. So just a quick comparison. As you can see, the Beretta is definitely thinner than the Bodyguard, and it's actually slightly shorter. Not by much, but it definitely is. And the grip, of course, you get virtually no grip, and because it's so small this direction and thin, it just feels like it's going to fly out of your hand, even with that extra mag. Compared to the Bodyguard, with my extended mag grip on it, it feels really good in your hand, and it's textured. The Bodyguard's got a nice texture to it, so it doesn't move around in your hand. I'd say this is definitely one of the premier guns in its class. If Smith & Wesson would just turn this into a striker fire gun, it would beat out everybody easily. So one of its attractions is the fact that you can keep changing the grip, basically, portion of the gun. The actual part that the ATF considers the gun is this right here, which is the chassis that holds the hammer and the trigger. So this just pops into whatever, basically, base that you want, put the pin through it, and there you've got the bottom half of your gun. I believe that Beretta's coming out ones with lights and lasers built right into them. So if you bought the basic gun and you wanted to upgrade it to the one with the laser and the light, All you have to do is buy this portion of it and pop it onto your gun. So the Beretta Pico, the biggest complaint that I have about it is that you can't enjoy shooting it. It hurts your hand, and therefore you will not practice with it. And for a gun that you do not practice with, you should not be carrying it. Now if you're one of those people, and I don't suggest you do, that you take it to the range, you put in your 50 rounds through it, and then you drop it in your pocket and you probably never touch it again, other than to take it out and put it on your dresser. You know what? This gun may be good for you. If that's all you're going to do, fire it a few times, it's going to hurt your hand those few times, then you're going to put it away. I don't suggest it because you should, anything that you carry, you should be firing more than that and you should be practicing with it. But if that's your intent for this gun, then this may be the gun for you. It's small, snag free, it'll go in your pocket, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a terrible design and I would not recommend getting one.
Thing sucks!
In